Good evening, everybody. I will be your presenter tonight. I'm Karel from Wyk. If you guys can hear me, you can just type a message to say okay, just so that I know you guys can hear me and that I'm loud and clear. We'll just give about 2 more minutes just for everybody to sign on, and then we'll start with the webinar. Okay, I think we'll start so long. So tonight I will be discussing on how are we going to identify opportunities for us to buy into. So in tonight's webinar, I'll explain a bit on the additional advisors. What I will also do is I'll explain how to use your graphs to get your ideal share. So first of all, we log on to SHARETRACKIN in Compass. So my details is already filled in here. I can click on login. Okay. So first of all, you get to your investment dashboard. Your investment dashboard would be the page on where we will see exactly what's going on in our accounts. As you can see, I, for instance, have multiple accounts. And so here I will see how much growth or loss did I make. Okay. And then if I scroll down a bit, I will also see how my shares in my portfolio is performing. Okay. So on the next thing, what I will do to get to my additional advisors, I will go to analysis. I will scroll down to stocks. And then what I will do is I will go to my stocks and watch list. Okay. First of all, your watch list would be there in order for us to keep our eye on shares that doesn't show a buy yet, so that we can monitor them to get to our ideal share. Okay, and find the ideal buying point to buy into those shares. So you will notice that I have my stocks. These are shares that I already bought in. And then I have my watch list. My watch list is the shares that I'm keeping my eye on. So as you can see, I have a total of 5 shares here that I am closely monitoring. If I click on one of them on the information button, I will see here that it opens up this security details window. So first of all, it would give me the company name. That's DRD Gold. Second of all, it will give me the company's code. That is DRD. It will give me a short description of the company, the industry, the sector, and then a bit of more information. So if I look on the left-hand side, I'm currently at the info tab. If I go to the director dealings tab, I can see what the directors are doing in this company. So are they buying, are they selling? And I can also use this to my advantage to know whether there's a problem in the company or not. So as I can see here, Mr. D here, Pretorius, sold his shares on the 9th of April this year. And he sold that much shares at that price. Okay, so it could be alarming when 3 or more directors starts climbing out consecutively after each other. Next, we will get our dividends. On our dividends, we can see when will dividends be paid out and how much will they pay out. You will also note that there's an increase in dividends each time they pay out dividends. Next, I will find my financials. Okay, so here I'll find my ratios, my income statements, my balancing sheets, and the cash flow. Also, we have the market news here. So this market news is related to the specific company on that share. Okay. Okay, so here I will find all the news related information on this share. For example, DRD Gold shareholders back Sibanye Stillwater assets plan. This was in 2018. Okay, so I'm going to click back on info. Then what I'll do is I'll click on chart IQ to view the charts, buy shares to physically buy the share, and then I have an add to watch list button. So on that button, I will add my share to my watch list. And then close is to close the share. Okay, that's our watch list. If I then open up my additional advisors underneath here, I will note that it has a MACD, a RSI, a TF, a TSF, a long, a medium, a short, a SMA, a stochastic, and advisors info. So note that the MACD, the RSI, and the stochastic, those are indicators that we can use to see whether this share is going to tell us if we can buy or if we can sell. The long, medium, and short, that is the term that you go on. So first of all, I would click on long because I want a share that shows me long-term good growth. Then I would go to stochastic and I would select that one. And immediately you will note that on the right hand side, my long and my stochastic has been filled in. And now I can also see shares. Okay. So first of all, I would get the company code. So each company on the JSE has its own 3-letter code linked to its name. So in other words, if I look here, CAC is Kafka Limited. Okay, next to it, I have the closing price in rands. So in other words, this share closed on 1 rand today. I would have the volume this share traded for the day, and then my indicators telling me whether I should buy, hold, or sell. Okay, so if I go to volume, underneath my volume, I would insert greater than 100,000. Okay, for the simple reason, I don't want a share that doesn't have movement every day or that does not have enough movement every day. In other words, you don't want the share that's just been climbing 3 or 4 cents a day. Underneath my long, I would type in buy, and I would do exactly the same underneath my stochastic. Now I will see that I filtered through this list and I only have 8 shares now that I can view. You will note that GFI, HAR, SSW, BHP, and AGL is in a blue color. That is just to inform us that we bought that share. If it is in this orange color, it means that this share is on the watch list. So the code would then just be in this orange color. If it has a little red star like GFI, BHP, and QLT, it means that this share is on the winning shares list. Okay. From here on out, I will go and I will click on the share. Let's take Harmony, for example. Then I want to view my charts. So I'm going to go Chart IQ. When my charting opens, it should look like this. Okay, if I open my charts up for the first time. So what I will do is I will go to Studies, Moving Average, and usually you insert a moving average of about 200 days. Create. So the moving average will tell me two things. First of all, my moving average will tell me where the share is heading. So in other words, I will see if I minimize, I will see on the long term, what is this share doing? So I can see that from about 16 May 2019, this share has been growing up constantly. Okay, which is a good thing. Further on, this is my moving average. So this is the average price of the share. I can see whether my share is above average or below average. So ideally, you want this line to move up and you want your share above this price, above your moving average. Next of all, I would insert a RSI. So for that, I go to Studies, RSI, and I would change my period to 3 days. And I would say Create. So my RSI is a relative strength index. In short, our RSI would go and it would create buying and selling signals for us. So our RSI would indicate whether we are going to buy or whether we are going to sell. In other words, if I look on the right hand side at the bottom next to my RSI, I would note that it has a 20 and an 80 line. Okay, there's my 80 line and there's my 20 line. If a share goes below the 20 line, you will note that it becomes a gray area. Okay, because that is the area where we want to buy, because at that point that share is at its lowest. That is also seen as your oversold area. Between your 20 and your 80 line is your holding area. So what happens is there your share will make its movement. So it will climb, it will drop, it will climb, and it will create a movement until it goes above the 80 line into your overbought area. And this is the area where we are going to sell the share. So now that I explained the RSI, and the next thing that I will do is I will insert a stochastic. And I would leave my period on 14 and I would say create. So at the end, when I inserted everything, my graphs should look like this. My stochastic is a stochastic oscillator. In short, this stochastic would confirm my signals that my RSI gives me at the time where my red and my black line crosses on my stochastic. The same rule applies on your stochastic. You would note that it has a 20 and an 80 line. Okay, 80 line, 20 line. Ideally, you want to buy below 20 in our oversold area, and you want to sell above 80 in our overbought area. So if I look at where I'm now, currently I am at 16 September 2019. I would note that my RSI told me I can buy, but my stochastic told me just hold on a bit because I haven't crossed yet, so don't go and buy because that share can still drop some more. If I move on, let's say 2 days later, onto the 18th of September in 2019, I would have bought that share. My RSI had an upwards movement, as well as my stochastic crossed and started moving upwards, still below 20. So at that point, I will buy that share. Now I would hold on to that share, let's say up until here. Okay. Both my RSI and stochastic did tell me that this share is overbought currently. My stochastic crossed and I could have climbed out. Okay. After that, I would have waited until the share goes to where it is today. And I can see it's still busy dropping. So I would have waited some more before buying the share. At this point, I would rather add the share to my watch list than actually buying it. For the reason this share has been negative today, and my RSI as well as my stochastic is telling me that this share is still busy dropping. So you would wait for this share to turn around and to start climbing before we buy the share. Now I'm going to the top. You would note that there is a tab saying share track in our charts. I would click on the little cross next to it to close my charting. And then I would say add to watch list. And I would say submit. So before I'm saying submit, you would note that it says please supply a comment. And you would note that the comment is optional. In other words, I can, if I want to, add a comment, but I don't have to. So there I can say closely monitor share, or share has a good upwards movement, whatever the reason is why you are putting that share on the watch list, you can do that. Okay. After that, I say submit, and you would note on the left-hand side at the bottom, in my case, it says old watch list entry replaced. Okay, but it would say successfully added watch list entry in that block. So if it says old watch list entry replaced, it means that you already have that share on your watch list, so they just replaced it. Now I click on the close button. I can close my additional advisors, and I can go to my stocks and watch list. And here I will see there's Harmony though that I added just now. And from here on, I can either remove Harmony by clicking on the red dustbin, or I can click on the info button, that I there, and from here on I can closely monitor it, and when I feel ready I can buy these shares. So let's go and have a look and see if there is a share underneath our additional advisors that's maybe a good time to buy. Let's look at Anglo Gold Ashanti. So I click on the share, Charts IQ, and if I look at the share, it has been negative today. It has a constant upwards movement. Let's see for how long. So this share I can see has been moving upwards ever since 23 August 2018. This share has been growing. If I zoom in again and go back to today's data, I wouldn't buy in quite just yet because the share is negative and my stochastic just crossed, but my RSI is telling me the share is going to drop again. So now I would rather wait for the RSI to also go up before I buy the share. Okay, now I'm going to close the charts on top. I'm going to say close, and let's have a look at a last share, SSW. And I say Charts IQ. If I look at SSW, this is a good share. It shows upwards movement. Let's see for how long. That's always the first thing to look at. It doesn't help us buying a share if it doesn't have an upwards movement, because then we are going to buy into a share that's going to create a loss. So you could more or less say the upwards movement started here the 25th of January 2019, and it's been growing ever since. Again, if I look at today's data, this could be a time to buy this share. It's been positive for today. Our RSI does show it's a little high, but it's not the end of the world. And our stochastic is telling us I just crossed, so I could maybe look at buying the share. Okay, let's go through the buying process with this share. That would be the last thing that I'm going to do. So I close my graphs. I would say buy shares. Then I would say select an account. There I can select any of my accounts that I want to buy the share. So I'm going to choose my simulation account. I want to buy the share in my simulation account. It gives me the share code, the company's name, which is Sibanye Stillwater, the last trade price, which is 50 Rand 48, the date that I'm buying the share, which is today's date. Max you can afford to buy is the money you still have left in your account. In my case, I have 18,222 Rand and 66 cents. Underneath number of shares to trade, I would type in the amount that I want to invest in. So how much shares do I want? But in saying that, you would look at your break-even point and also get your break-even point underneath 4%. So your break-even point is the percentage you will start in the minus. Because we have brokerage costs, if we want to see it as admin fees in buying that shares, we have to pay fees to get the shares. So your break-even point takes the number of shares that you want to buy and works out by how much must that share grow before you are going to make money. Let's type in 10 shares. I would see that my break-even point is at 45.58%. In other words, this share must grow by 45.58% before I am going to see a profit in that share. If I buy 100, it's 4.78. So I must still move it up. You will note that I am busy slightly changing everything. Let's say I buy 130 shares, for example. My break-even point is at 3.74. And now I must apply a reason. So as you note that earlier on, I showed you the fundamental side as well. The fundamental side would be the direct dealings, your dividends history, your financial statements, and the market news. You can use that to your advantage to buy the share. Or we can go the technical side and look at our charts and see how that share is performing. Let's go with the technical analysis. And here I would type in that my RSI and my stock shows buy. And now I must also say something about my trend. So I can say bull trend. So you have two types of trends in the market. You have a bull trend and you have a bear trend. A bull trend refers to an upwards trend in the market for more than 2 years. A bear trend refers to a downwards trend in the market for more than 2 years. Underneath my comments, I would see that my total cost would be 6,693 Rand and 24 cents. Then I would say confirm buy to buy the share. And buy order confirmed. Now I will close this tab. Now I can either monitor this share from my stocks and watch list. So here I would go through my tabs and there's my SSW and I can monitor it from here. But if I go to my dashboard and I go to my investment dashboard, I bought it in the simulation account. And right here at the bottom, There's SSW, the share that we just bought. We bought 130. Now you will see that there's a slight change in the unit cost. The reason for that is that is the price per share that we paid, including brokerage. Okay, the total cost is what we paid, including brokerage. We have the current price. So the current price is what one share is worth in the market now. And the current value is what the 130 shares is worth in the market now. Then we have today's move. We have our overall move in Rand. So there you will see I am in a minus of 245 Rand and 27 cents. That is 3.60% that I must grow, and then I made my money back. So anything above 3.6% is a gain. Okay, and that is where we are going to stop tonight. I do hope you found this very informative. If you have any questions, you can ask it now. And just note that we do have a need support and a contact us button on top here. Need support is a question that you send in. You type in the name, the contact number, your email address, and what you are struggling with. And you say submit, and it sends it through to us. Alternatively, you can click on contact us. Here is our landline number and also 2 support numbers. And there's our email addresses. I do hope you found this very informative, as this is the end of our session. Enjoy the evening, guys. Bye.